Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. Scooter's been pushed all the way out the business. Yeah, they still break him off here and there, every now and then, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be. He don't really want the money. He really cares about Miss Gardner. But see, Miss Gardner, she been gobbled up by the business. Bro on the inside knocking her down. Bro on the outside is having meetings at her house and all this and that. You know what I'm saying? She spooked to talk on the phone. Yeah, they still paying her. But she would give them all of that money back if they would just get out of her life. Just get out of her life. And I want you to understand that's how all-consuming the business can be. Once, listen to me, once they see that they have to control every aspect of the business, right? They don't trust you to do it. They become more and more overbearing to the point of where it's all uncomfortable for you, but it's comfortable for them. They don't care about how you feel. They look at it as just this leads to this. You know, bro on the inside didn't care nothing about Miss Gardner, but if she wanted to have that touchy-feely stuff, he was willing to do that. But it wasn't no emotion with it. See what I'm saying? It was just another piece of the puzzle to him, to where when it was between her and Scooter, it meant something. Now it don't mean nothing. You feel what I'm saying? She's repulsed by the whole idea of this other individual. So she don't ever tell him that she's interested like that again. Because she don't want him to touch her no more. No more. She's even afraid to go to work sometimes, but she knows that she got to drop off that pack because they done let her know. If you don't, you gonna get told on. You gonna get told on. And they don't care nothing about none of that. They don't care nothing about none of that. You feel me? She goes to jail, then they move on, find somebody else. You feel what I'm saying? That's just how the nature of the game goes. But Scooter, he really is upset by the way things have turned out for her. He blames himself. He blames himself. And Tim is trying to tell him how he can get out of it. You got to pull the rug out from under the whole thing. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean, y'all? See, Tim understands how this stuff go because, see, Tim, let me tell y'all something else about Tim that I didn't tell you. See, Tim has always been known to be nosy, right? Always been known to be nosy. But at the same time, he ain't never been the type to tell nothing. But he's smart. And he's watched all of these individuals involved in the move, right? And he's like, you gotta create a scenario to where she is not valuable to them anymore. She can't be. So Scooter looking at him, you gotta keep in mind, see, Scooter's on a different mental level, intellectual level than Tim. Tim is up there. Smart dude. But Scooter can't understand all of this. He said, man, you got to break it down, make it plain to me. He said, man, look here. When she come to work, if she's getting in trouble, and they stopping her up there, they messing with the move and all this and that, they fear her turning on them because she has just as much leverage over them as they do over her. She just don't understand that. But see, you can't enlist her in this move because she's already afraid. She might think it's a test and she might run and tell them what's really going on. So you can't tell her what you're about to do. So Scooter said, what is it that I'm about to do? He said, you got to pull the rug out from under this thing. For real. You got to pull the rug out from under this thing. See, you got to go to her. You got to tell her just enough so she'll understand. But you got to also make sure that she don't say nothing. He said, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? He said, once upon a time, she cared about you. And she still come by talking to you. I see it. And y'all ain't really talking about nothing because you're too nervous and you're too afraid. But he said, you got to go to her like you did when you first pulled her. And tell her, trust you. You got to do it. So he's going to pull up on him. Scooters, he's putting on 100. This has got to be the best act of his life, right? Because he finna cross the folks. And if he does that and he gets caught, oh, it's over with. That violation they put him in, them 2 days he was out of the kitchen, that ain't gonna be nothing. Because he messing with the money. So he tells her, he said, look, do you trust me? She was like, I never stopped. He said, I need you to listen to me. Do you want out of this? And she was like, oh God, yes, I want out of this. I'm tired of this. But how am I going to get out of it? They've already told me what'll happen. I'll go to jail. He said, you ain't going to go to jail. You got more leverage on them than they got on you. But we got to know how to use it. She's like, what's going to happen to you? He said, I'm going to be all right. She said, you just trust me. When I tell you not to come to work, don't come to work, okay? Just trust me. She said, okay. He said, I'm going to call you when I tell you, and I'll give you a code. You'll know what it means, right? To not come to work that day, so you just call in sick. She said, okay, I got it. She said, make it quick. He said, we got to do it right now. We can't rush this time. So another week went by. She bringing in the pack. Everything is straight, according to folks. They don't see nothing wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So now, that next week come up, and him and Tim been talking. And Tim tells him this is the time. Tell her not to come to work. And if she don't come to work on a regular day where she's supposed to be dropping out, they gonna wonder what's going on, right? And then Scooter was like, yeah. He said, but how's that gonna make a difference? He said, what you gotta do, you're gonna have to drop a note to the administration and tell them that somebody bringing in that bomb. It's gonna be a lot of the big move, right? You gotta drop the note anonymously, right? He was like, yeah, that's what I'll do. He said, but if she don't come to work, how they gonna get the bomb? He said, I don't want her to get busted either. He said, no. He said, everybody else bringing in stuff every day. It ain't just her. You just finna drop the note. Everybody up here has got somebody that they working with. He said, trust me, I know. Now keep in mind, Tim, he watches everybody move. He know everybody that's doing everything. But see, he like Miss Gardner too. And he don't like the way they treated her and Scooter. He don't like that. So Scooter's starting to pay attention. He's starting to peep it. Because Tim, he watches everything. He would have to be the one to know that everybody got something coming in. He said, but look, here's the problem. It's Scooter telling Tim, they going to think I knew because she didn't even show up to work. And he said, man, I can't take that rack no more. He said, nah. He said, nah, what we going to do? He said, I'm going to spread the rumor that the op did it. That the op dropped the note. He said, it's easy to do. They listen to me. And Scooter said, why would you do that for me? He said, man, I like you, man. I don't like the way they treating y'all. He said, it's that simple. So he called and tell Miss Gardner, don't come to work. Don't show up. He give her the code. She said, okay. So she calls in to her supervisor and tell her supervisor she's not feeling well. She going to go to the doctor. So she don't show up. So Brandon looking for her. She don't show up, but they lock the institution down. Now the institution get locked down. Everybody know what it is. You got to check your water. The water turned off. Oh, it's a shakedown. But see, they don't come on the compound. They don't come on the compound. They just spooking everybody. They at the gate. They trying to catch an employee come in. So they coming in left and right. They busting them. Pop, pop, pop. They catching them with tobacco, drugs, and all kinds of stuff, right? You feel what I'm saying? So they like, okay. The information turned out to be good. Now everybody wondering, wait a minute, how Miss Gardner know? She didn't come to work. What's really going on? First thing Brandon think, Scooter done told something. You feel what I'm saying? Scooter done told something. You feel me? But why would she miss work? So when she came back to work, she told him she got sick. She had to go to the doctor. So they concluded, oh, it was just a coincidence then. She got lucky. She got lucky and didn't come. But they think it's Scooter. They think it's Scooter because they looking at it like, man, this sucker, man, probably trying to bring the whole house down, bring the mom down. But look, check this out. You know how Tim, he be talking to different people? He pulled them over. He told him, he said, look, they did that. I seen him talking to the captain the other day in the unit. They did that. So now, Brandon looking at the op. They ain't looking at Scooter no more. They're like, man, if she that came to work, they would have brought the whole house down for us. Now they spooked. They pissed too, right? You know what happens when two organizations that don't like each other get spooked and pissed at each other, right? War. That's what happens. So now Brandon getting together and they talking about, you know what I'm saying, taking it to the op. Because if she would have came to work, if she wouldn't have got sick, it would have been over with. So now they trying to send a message. But the op don't know nothing about nothing on no talent. They ain't told nothing. They ain't done nothing. But see, Tim got to get them to going at each other. And when they get to going at each other, guess what? They lock their heads up. And when they lock their heads up, guess what always happens? Extra information starts to flow out. People start dropping notes because they want to try to take over the move. You understand what I'm saying? But check this out. Here's where it gets really ugly. See, when they decide they're going to push on the op, Miss Gardner, she missed another day at work. She said she got female problems. You understand what I mean? So she don't come to work again. And for 2 days in a row, she don't show up. Now the pack ain't coming. Now the brothers that's eating off of bruh plate, now they starting to think, you ain't got your move locked down solid, right? Because look here, love in the org is based on performance, y'all. Don't ever forget that. When you not able to perform, whether it's your fault or not, bruh and them gonna look at you like, man, I can't depend on you. So bruh and them on the town, they go by the house. They try to holler at her. She's not there. She's not there. So now they set somebody on the house. They wait a couple of days. She show back up. They ask her, where you been? She said, I've been sick. What's really going on? Why are you here? She said, don't come back by my house no more. Now they looked like they were shocked to hear her talk like that, but she never talked like that to them. But she's starting to understand they ain't got no leverage over me no more than I got over them. They the criminals. They the criminals. She said, don't come out here no more. I'm through. I'm done with all that. They were like, you done? You ain't going to work no more? She said, nah, I'm finna retire. It's over with. It's over. So now they pissed off at brother them on this side because they didn't see this. These brothers on this side done come dependent on her. Ain't nobody seen nothing about her return, but see, that's the plot. That's the plot. Because see, Scooter really cares about her. And he told her it's time for you to go. And if you leave, or let them think you're leaving rather, let me put it that way, they'll move on. But see, the war kicked off. And the op hadn't done nothing. They didn't tell it. It was Scooter and Tim. It was Scooter and Tim. But see, when Brother and them pushed on the op, they were trying to tell them, stay out of folks' business. But it wasn't nothing like that. It wasn't nothing like that. The op hadn't done anything. And see, that's how easy it is in here to start a war. All you gotta do is tell a lie. Because everybody is so suspicious of each other. And the reason I'm telling you this story is because I want you to understand that in this lifestyle, there is no truth, there is no honesty, there is nothing. This woman that started to develop feelings, even though what they were doing was wrong, listen to me, what they was doing was wrong. You're not supposed to have staff-inmate relations. That's just the law. You feel me? He put her in a position where she was compromised, and she went, and she should have never done that. And at the same time, he developed feelings for her. But by him being a part of the lifestyle and all these other things that was going on, you know, remember the story that I told you? She got so caught up in this spider web that everything that she thought she was going to be able to get out of a relationship with somebody in prison, it became nothing. And they almost cost her her whole future, her whole retirement. Everything, and they didn't care. And that's what I want you to understand about the life. So she put in her papers. But see, when Brother and them, all of them got locked up, they got put on max for going to war with somebody that hadn't done anything. She pulled them. She didn't retire. She kept her job. All the individuals that were a threat to her were gone, shipped to other prisons, right? And Scooter, he quit. He walked away. He took that beating and he walked away from the business. He saw what it was really about. He didn't want nothing to do with it, right? And then, you know, his parole date is coming up. And he was still working in the dining room with Miss Gardner, but they decided to cool it until he got out. And then he got out, and guess what? Moved right in with her, and they went on with the move. They went on with the move. And Brunel, when he got out, they peeped it. And you know what's crazy about the whole thing? When I was able to talk to Bruh, you know what he told me? Bruh and them on the streets, they ain't even mad at him. They said, that's part of it, man. Now think about that, because that's important before I end this episode. That's important. Crossing each other out is part of their life. And they weren't even mad at him. Ain't that something? This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.